Hey, Wichita, I am back, your host, Officer Chad Ditch, but I am here with my co-host,
Officer Trevor Macy, and I'm so glad you're finally back.
Bro, it has been a long 2 weeks.
It has.
So
it's been different on the podcast without you. Yeah.
You guys had some good ones, man. I saw Kimry was on here.
Yeah, I didn't say it was bad.
No, I didn't say
I
it was
just said it was
bad
different.
Either. Yeah.
Because you weren't here.
That's good. You know, because we've done so many in a row together, you know, that we kind of like start gelling and everything. And
yeah, now we're going to have to like basically restart from square one. Like,
you don't think we'll just pick up?
Who are
like
you?
Well,
what are you
Chad.
doing here?
My name's Jeff. So, oh man, how you been?
I've been doing well.
Yeah.
Staying busy as always.
Right.
How have you been?
Good, man. I was at a PIO conference last week.
Public Information Officer.
Yes, sorry.
For those who don't know.
That, yeah. In Florida. So that
very
was
cool.
Yeah.
I bet it was
cool.
Warm.
It wasn't too bad. It rained, but down there in Florida, when it rains, it doesn't
pours.
So
right?
It's like better than Kansas because it rains a little bit and then it's sunny and beautiful and stuff. So
very cool.
But there was a lot of people at the conference, man. So
did you learn a lot?
I did. I got to listen to PIOs from all over the U.S. I got to listen to a PIO that handled the active shooter in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
And then the PIO that was handled the Gabby Pateo case.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay. Big cases.
Big cases. So, yeah, it was interesting, man. There's some cases that were just super sad and everything like that, but great presenters and it was a great time. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you got to go gain that experience and bring it back and use it in your role here.
We'll see, man. So, but yeah, came back last week, and then that was kind of my work week while I was gone. So, got back here Tuesday after the holiday, and it's just been running and gunning ever since, man.
Catching up, man.
Yeah.
It's always busy in the public information office, as you know. So we're here on a Wednesday.
We are. It is a
You're
Wednesday.
not wearing pink. I'm not wearing pink.
Well, I am wearing pink. For all those that are watching or listening, I usually dress down on the show, you know, just to give it a more laid back kind of feel. And then I go put my suit and tie back on.
I just stopped dressing down because I don't feel like changing.
Too much work for you?
It's too much work.
Yeah.
Too much work. I got to take my shirt off, do the podcast, got to put my shirt back on.
Well, you have your own office, so it's like you can feel comfortable to shut the door. You know, I
shut mine with but that's like 3 minutes of my day I'm spending.
I'm sure somewhere in your day you can get 3 minutes back.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know, Chad.
I mean,
I don't know.
True,
I keep a tight schedule.
So, how was your Labor Day? We just got done over that.
I did nothing. I did no labor whatsoever. I stayed home. I stayed indoors actually the entire day and played video games, watched TV. That's it. I was so tired. I didn't want to do anything.
I saw we had some big announcements while I was gone too, man. Our interim chief announced that he's going to be retiring.
Yeah, he did.
Happy for him. Obviously, 31 plus years on the department.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's definitely a long career.
Earned his right to be able to retire. So, looking forward to him being able to enjoy that time with his family.
We wish him luck. Wish him well. Chief, if you're watching, we'll miss you.
Right.
We're excited for you.
You know,
I've
talked about it before. He was my lieutenant when I was in the academy, and my daughter's getting ready to start softball, and we had to get her birth certificate. And in a pile where her birth certificate is actually my graduating photo that they take in front of the law enforcement memorial. Mm-hmm. And there he was in the Browns.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like, man, now he's retiring.
Yeah.
So 7 years later from that day.
End of an era.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I didn't do nothing either. Wife and I watched a lot of movies and stuff. Kind of hung out. And that was it, man. Yeah. Watched a new movie on Netflix with Kevin Hart.
Is that the one with him and who else? Mark Wahlberg?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, though.
It was good. It was decent.
Yeah.
You know? Because he's got like a contract with Netflix right now, so he doesn't make movies that go into the theaters and stuff.
He does like straight to Netflix movies
straight
now.
To Netflix
That's the same thing Adam Sandler did for a little while.
Yep. So
I don't know how I feel about that.
Right?
Some of them are okay. Some of them are just not.
Not
that great.
This one I thought, because his movies normally are, you know, my kids are almost 14 and 16 and stuff. So most of my kids can watch. This one was definitely not one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes in, and I was like, "Hey, y'all need to go."
Not for the kids.
Yeah, definitely not for the kids, man. So,
are you a Game of Thrones person?
No, not at all.
You never saw that?
No,
okay, so you're not.
Something about a dragon coming up, right?
House of Dragons.
Yeah.
They just had their 3rd episode over the weekend, so I watched that.
I've been seeing that a lot on my timeline on Facebook and stuff.
I like it. I was a big Game of Thrones person. I read all the books and then watched the show. And the show was decent up until the last season. It just tanked.
Did it?
But this new show is pretty solid, I think.
See, and I was on the elevator right before I went to Florida. When I was here, I was on the elevator, and some guy, just normal conversation, I was just like, "Hey man, how you doing?" He's like, "Good man. I'm really looking forward to that House of Dragons or whatever." And I was like, "Oh yeah." No clue what he was talking about at all. Well, if you're listening, if you're a fan, sorry, I had no clue what you were talking about.
Some people like Game of Thrones and like these other shows. It's like a religion for them. It's like they have a dogma about it, and they have to like religiously watch these shows. I'm not that extreme about it, but there's some diehards out there who just won't.
Yeah. So transitioning briefly, because I haven't been working on my segues. Did I say that wrong?
No.
Oh, you looked at me like I used the wrong word.
No, I was just looking at you because that's a terrible segue, but go ahead.
Yeah, it is. Fantasy football starting back.
Oh, yeah.
This season starts this coming Thursday or tomorrow.
Did you do your draft already?
Bro, I had 3 drafts.
Oh, that's a lot.
I'm in a dynasty league on one of them. So, yeah.
I did one draft. I got a B rating. I was the 10th pick.
Dude, that one sucks,
yeah,
right?
I hate that position.
Yeah.
Because I can't get any of the initial players I want.
Yeah. Are you in a PPR league or?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think so you could do 2 quarterbacks or just one?
I just have one.
Yeah.
And then I got my backup.
But then you have a tight end and like a flex and 2 wide receivers. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So one of my leagues my cousin that listens to us, he has a league where it's 2 quarterbacks, and then you have your running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and then you have like a super flex also. So I got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, nice.
Or no, sorry, Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
Mahomes. Still.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I didn't get any of those guys.
Dude,
so
I'm super excited. I about threw people for a curve because I like to draft quarterbacks first. Most people like to draft running backs.
Yeah.
It's not my niche. I won't
go straight for the quarterback.
I go straight for the quarterback. So I was picked number 8.
Okay.
And I ended up with Mahomes because everybody else just goes running back or
right.
something like that. And it came back to me, and I'm like, bro, I should just throw a wrench in this and just grab Josh Allen right now as the backup because then it takes away that.
Right.
But I didn't. I needed a running back.
So. I did that a couple years ago. I went straight for Mahomes my first pick, and then everybody started scrambling for quarterbacks after that. But I didn't end up winning that season, so my strat didn't pay off.
But it's all about strategies, and you got to look at stats and statistics and stuff
like that.
Well,
the injuries are what kill me most of the time.
Yeah.
Like I had one year where like most of my starting lineup was injured, and so I had to go to backups, and then it was like none of them scored any points.
See, I go for the running backs that also are good receivers, their team looks for them at that as well, because that really brings up the numbers and the points and stuff. So, but
yeah,
speaking of numbers and points and strategies and statistics.
Ooh, that's a good segue. I like that segue.
Like a couple minutes, brother.
You teed that up.
I did. We have our crime analysts here today.
Crime analysts.
These are people that, a lot of times we get Kansas Open Record Act requests or KORA requests about stats from the department and everything. And that's one of many things that
they're putting together statistics. They're looking at crime trends. They're putting together informational bulletins for officers on suspects and crime trends and things. These guys are kind of the brains of the department, if you will. So super excited to hear what they have to say.
Really excited. They are our guests today. We have Allison Stulsatz and Jeffrey Vale. He spells his name. Well, his parents spelled his name Geoffrey. Geo.
Jeff with a G.
I think that's pretty cool when Jeff is
interesting. Like that. There are a lot of different ways to spell Jeff, aren't there? Or is it just the 2?
I think it's just the 2.
Huh? But I guess I'm thinking of different.
I don't know.
Different names. I don't know where
they
I was
are
going
here.
with that.
We will get a refill, and we'll be right back with Allison and Jeff. And we're back with Jeffrey Vale and Allison Stulsatz. Man, I was like pronounce her last name correctly. Yeah. So we appreciate y'all being with us today.
Of course.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
So we ask the same question on every podcast. You're not going to hurt our feelings, but have you seen an episode?
Seen several. Yeah.
We actually do check it out every once in a while.
Yes.
That's
See,
awesome.
I like seeing the true fans and stuff.
We're glad to have some fans on the podcast.
So, and you guys are different today because you are the first guests that we have that are not police officers. You guys are a huge asset to our department, but you're our crime analyst. Yeah. So on this podcast, we want people to know who the people are as opposed to what their job title is. But, break it down for us on both what you do for the department and then who Allison is and who Jeffrey is. So,
well, I hate it when people ask us this. But, I mean, typically when there's any requests that come in from officers or from the media, where those requests usually come to us.
Yeah.
We also look up crime trends, people associated with crimes, just anything that an officer doesn't have time to look up. Yeah. We try to assist them with that, and then allocate the resources to where they need to be, located.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really hard job to describe. You can't even get like a good job description at all for it because we do intelligence stuff. Some of us do financial crimes, like looking into money laundering and do analysis on that. It's then the stats stuff, mapping, a lot of odds and ends.
Never a dull moment up there.
Probably lots of dull moments, but we're always busy.
We're like the jack of all trades, master of all.
Yeah.
So how do you guys get into crime analysis? Like how do you guys come to be in the positions that you're in?
So I went to college I got my master's in criminal justice, and it just kind of fell in my lap. I think I was a GTA, and one of my instructors was like, "Hey, got this job opening in Topeka," and I was like, "Okay, why not?" I didn't know what I was doing necessarily. I didn't know what my goals were. I just really liked the CJ world.
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting a job as an analyst in Topeka for a while, and then I went and did some other things after that, but then kind of came back into it when I got here.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's the law enforcement world without necessarily the law enforcement hours and danger and all that part of it.
Right. And it's also really important too because a lot of times, you can't, it's cliche, but you can't see where you're going without knowing where you came from, right? So those stats are important to us because we need to know if what we're doing is working and stuff too. So has there been any specific thing that you guys can remember maybe off the top of your head of a stat that you're like, man, I think I remember this being lower and now it's higher, let me look into that, and then you guys figured it out on your own without us knowing about it first?
That's tricky.
I feel like we're always second guessing ourselves on things because oftentimes with the data, it's always moving, it's always growing, it's never stagnant.
Right.
So cases are always reclassified, things are always changing. So we're like, well, it's a little bit off, it's 1 or 2 off. I'm like, did we pull the stat right? Yeah. Or or are things just moving around a little bit?
Yeah.
But luckily, we've been able to set up our analytics to the point where a lot of it's automated to where we know it's correct, and it allows us to make comparisons so we can identify crime trends a little quicker than we had in the past.
Because I know sometimes when we have our ComStat, you guys will come in there and you'll talk, and we might see a rise in 20% of something, right? But it was one instance that had 9 specific things going on, and that's the only reason for the rise. So it's really leveled out. Is that what you're kind of talking about?
So, some things are like that too. Again, there's so much data that we collect that oftentimes it's hard to dissect each little part and put it in where it needs to go. But I think we try to do the best that we can.
Figuring out what's actually important and what's not, and what's kind of a real increase and what's not, and that gets tricky.
Is there a wild statistic or data point that you guys kind of pull out in conversation that surprises people that you just kind of use to just hey, did you know this? Is there anything like that you can share?
Definitely not for me. Like I said, I try and steer clear of a lot of the stats portion of it. I kind of hand it over to the rest of the team a lot of the time.
I think one of the things that really surprises people is the converter thefts that we have right now. Because it used to be, say, 4 or 5 years ago, we might have 6 or 7 converters in a month. Thefts, that is. And now we're up to the point where we have between 100 and 150 a month.
Wow.
And so just such a drastic increase, and now that increase has been occurring now since mid 2020, and so it's kind of like the new normal, right? But but we're still trying to track those trends and identify the types of vehicles and stuff like that are being targeted.
What are some of the big challenges in your guys' field as far as what you do and things that you have to overcome?
Clean data. I mean, I think just like having really good data, because I mean, and that's with any kind of profession that actually utilizes any data. Like just because you're dependent on what the officers are put in, what the questions they ask, and that kind of stuff. So that's important of having all of that. I think that's one of probably the biggest things that we run into, is just having all of the information available for us.
Yeah, because there's been a few occasions where we've seen an increase that doesn't look right. And so we'll go back and actually look into the individual cases, and we'll find that there's maybe been a misclassification or something's not classified the right way. And so we have to go back and correct that and look for additional errors that may have branched off of that. But for sure, data collection and being able to base inferences off of that. And then also just the shortage of people. I mean, obviously, there only being 5 of us for all the requests and all the trends that we track and all the job responsibilities, it can be a bit daunting, and prioritizing really
I remember
really takes precedence.
Being when I was on CP, I would email you guys and I would feel bad because I know you're already super busy with everything that you do.
I still feel bad when I ask you guys for stats.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we feel bad when it takes us super long to get back to anybody. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I couldn't get it faster.
Hey, can you guys just real quick pull all of this stuff and on top of everything else that you're doing?
Yeah, right.
Going back to the clean data thing, though, because I know maybe for officers watching this, that's kind of why there's a lot of these new data fields in the RMS system, right? That we check and we notate whether this was a factor or this was a factor. That's pretty much for you guys' benefit, right?
Ideally, it is, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, Allie, if you want to talk about it.
I would. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it's for our benefit for polling, for your guys' benefit to
actually knowing
to like help you with your jobs and stuff out on the streets.
But sometimes there's almost too many options that officers, like, maybe they'll just find the one that, the top option and then leave it there or not fill in, something else. Yeah. And so sometimes there's so much that officers get overwhelmed, and then maybe something doesn't get filled out right. And that's what we're starting to find.
It's kind of like those test questions where there's like a correct answer, but then there's like a more correct answer.
Right, just because one word has changed. Yeah.
So you have to find which one is most correct.
And I don't know if you guys have looked into some of the stuff that you can look into for niche, like for the system, that when you're selecting things as an officer, like descriptors of somebody, that you can like put that they were like missing like certain fingers or like missing their left ear. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think people are going through and, getting into that in depth, but it's kind of silly how in depth they could actually try and get into there. Yeah.
There's a lot of data fields in that. Did you bring some stats with you?
Oh, these are just interesting tidbits similar to the converter thefts, but sometimes we go back and when we see like a big increase in something like guns stolen from vehicles, we're like, well, when did this start? Like, because it's been a big increase now for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And so, of course, we can go back in a lot of our data back to the early 2000s. And so what we saw, at least for gun thefts from vehicles, is it was almost like a light switch flipped back in 2016 when the new law
for juveniles.
Yeah. Well, and for being able to carry firearms on you and keep them on you. I think it was July of 2016 when the law was enacted. Yeah. But almost immediately after that, people started leaving their guns in their unsecured vehicles. Right. And then the month after that, we had our highest number of guns from vehicles stolen. And ever since then, it's been increasing. But I think it plateaued around 2017, and then it's kind of just stayed the same for the last few years, but it's still at an elevated level compared to anything prior to 2016.
I want to say it went down a little bit after we started posting on Facebook.
It did, yeah.
It definitely did. About guns and cars.
And the things with guns and cars is oftentimes it's the hotels, because people will leave their gun in the car at the hotel. But then also it's in the outlying neighborhoods, which is like a trend that you don't see very often, but oftentimes in these more affluent neighborhoods, people feel safe. They leave their guns in their cars and they leave them unlocked, and that's where we have a lot of the thefts.
Yeah, people don't realize that, like, criminals travel, and they travel to nicer neighborhoods in order to commit crimes and stuff. So
they'll go wherever they can. They can find what they're looking for.
Yeah. trying to think. My bad.
You are.
I am off, bro. It's my first day back. Yeah.
Do we have a one has to go today?
I do have a one has to go. So you've seen the show. So we have a one has to go. Although this time I decided to switch it up. So your guys' job is extremely important to our department. And like I said before, you have to know where you came from to know where you're going, right? So this one isn't a one has to go. It's what has to come back. So it's an old school. We got the rotary phone or any kind of old school phone, like the cordless or the corded one, the overhead projector, the Walkman, or the VHS. Which one has to come back, and you get that for the rest of your life?
I think
and it can come back too at whatever speed of technology that we have now. You know what I mean?
I think we're fine, Chad.
What?
I don't think we need.
Okay, so the overhead projector, I feel like is something that's close to my heart.
I was gonna say that about the Walkman. I would think but isn't that your phone now?
Yeah, so you got Spotify. You don't need a Walkman, and plus it skipped all the time if you try to jog or anything like. Well,
yeah, at least the CD ones.
Yes, you had to hold it like this while you're walking around. Like there was no clipping. No,
that's the cassette one though. That's the Walkman for the cassette.
Well, are you going to bring back cassettes then as well?
Well, yeah, you have to in order to play.
The audio fidelity of a cassette is far inferior.
So which one are you going to bring back?
I'm going to go with Jeff. I'm going to bring back the overhead projector because those were fun to do shadow puppets with.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Definitely not the phone.
It's not the Elmo. I mean, the Elmo just... The Elmo projector?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the one that's like digital, right? Yeah, and it's like... it's just not the same.
But the rotary phone is something I don't even think I know how to operate now.
I had one growing up.
I did too.
We had one.
Yeah. And it just takes way too long.
Yeah.
It's I
loved it.
Time for that.
My son is in kindergarten. He's like, Dad, like my teacher has this phone that has a cord on it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like they don't know any better, right? Or we only have our cell phones now.
Yeah.
So remember the corded phones with the really long curly thing that would get tangled on everything, but you could walk anywhere in the house. With it.
And I knew how far my mom could get with that phone too. So if we started causing trouble, I knew if I made it to the hallway, if she was talking to someone, she couldn't make it that far with the phone in her hand.
But did you ever get in trouble like when your mom was on there and she was like in the kitchen, so the cord was stretched, and then you and your siblings went running through and then ripped the phone off the wall? That ever happened to anybody?
Never did that.
Just me. So.
Oh man, it was my grandma. Man, it was
I do remember getting in fights about who could be on the phone because somebody had to use the internet. And it was dial up, and you couldn't be on the phone and the internet.
Oh, yes.
My sister's like, I got to call my friend. I'm like, no, I'm downloading a photo. It'll be done in 3 hours. So just chill.
That's true.
Yeah, or you're talking to a neighbor or somebody on the phone, and you hear that click and then some breathing, and somebody else in a different apartment has gotten on your phone. Somebody else in the house has gotten on your phone, and you know that they're there, and so you're yelling at them.
See, I'm bringing back the VHS.
Why?
Those were like all the Disney movies were VHS, right? And then
they had the coolest cases.
They did have the coolest cases, and that's not on there. But the rewinder thing that you could put in there because you had to be kind and rewind.
Yeah.
You remember tracking the tape when it would get all fuzzy and you'd have to go up and track it?
Yeah. See, mine was the rewinder. Depending on what your rewinder looked like, that's how you could tell if you were wealthy or not. Like if you had the race car rewinder, bro, you were rich.
We had an old VCR that still had like
I don't know.
No, it doesn't use a rewinder.
So it was like in the VCR. Yeah. You could just hit rewind.
No, but the rewinder went way faster than the VCR.
Okay,
I never had one.
I wasn't in that category then. I didn't even
My
have
aunt and uncle were wealthy and they had it, but theirs looked like a race car. And you put it in there, push it down, and then the wheels would spin and it. Like,
I used to hate getting tapes from Blockbuster and they wouldn't be rewound.
Bro, so disrespectful.
And you'd have to spend your time rewinding that.
A couple months ago, I went back and watched a VHS, and it's crazy how bad the quality is
compared
to what we're used to. I'm just like, how did we ever live?
But the audio is constantly shifting. It's bizarre.
They were playing Jaws at an IMAX.
Oh, the IMAX,
weekend. Yeah. Then my wife wanted to go, and I'm like, I don't know if the quality would be all that good.
Yeah.
The thing though with the old school film, you can upscale that really well because of the definition on the old film cameras. That's why they're able to upscale Star Wars and things like that, which you've never seen, Chad.
Star Wars, man, ain't nobody trying to
upscale. Have you guys seen Star Wars?
Yes.
No.
She hasn't.
How's that? 50% of the people here have not seen that.
Tyler doesn't watch it either. So that's it. That jumped us up to Is that 60%?
Can you guys pull stats on the number of people in this department who have seen and not seen Star Wars?
We can take a survey on that. That'll take priority today.
Yeah. Yeah. All other core requests have been denied and they were postponed until this is done. That's a joke. Don't come from me. So, man, we appreciate y'all time.
Oh, we gotta hit on the Chicago thing.
What Chicago thing?
You guys were in Chicago.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
you guys got rewarded. Yeah.
Yes.
Rewarded. Awarded.
Tell us about what you guys were doing in Chicago and kind of what happened up there. We posted about it on
First
Facebook.
Off, jealous
so
that you were in
people can see that.
Chicago.
Super jealous, but you guys did some cool stuff up there, right?
Yeah, so we were actually up there. So we went up there for the IACA conference. It's a conference for crime analysts. And 3 of the analysts presented here. We had 4 presentations, which I believe was the most of any law enforcement agency up there.
I think so.
Wow.
So it's amazing how far we've come in just the 5 short years, or the 4 years that we've had the crime analysis unit. But so we got rave reviews on a lot of the way that we analyze data. Allie did her presentation on financial crimes and investigations, but
yeah, I presented on financial analysis for money laundering, and I presented twice, and I was lucky enough to be a featured speaker for one of those times.
Wow.
And so you get like the big fancy room.
Right.
I think I may have had a joke in there about there only being 8 chandeliers, but I normally use 10 in my other presentations. But I mean, it was we were in a fancy hotel. It was really nice. And then got an award, got second place for a bulletin that we submitted. So it's an actual like crime bulletin that we've sent out to the police department on. This one happened to be some burglaries that were happening. And so something that we've done in the last year, and we submitted it in this competition and got second place for that. And that was kind of cool to at least get some recognition.
yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
It was excellent to hear the reception from everyone after we gave the presentations, because even people who had not attended our sessions, they came back to us and they're like, hey, like I heard about, people talking about what you were, what you were presenting. Like, what was it? Can you show me? So, I think people don't realize it, but Wichita is really a leading edge for a lot of the types of analytics that we do and a lot of the types of policing that we do.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I love about y'all, and not just you two, but your whole section and stuff, is because what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, and then what you provide us, especially when we get those documents and stuff, is people don't understand the time and effort that y'all put in every single day. And to get this really helps us do our job, really helps us pinpoint down. I'm not going to lie, when I first came on and we transitioned from the old CompStat where it was nothing but just pictures of bad guys to now it's all these numbers and stuff, I was like, oh man, this kind of stinks. I want to see the pictures of the bad guys. But then you realize this actually helps us do our job tremendously and cuts out a lot of the extra work and stuff too. So
it's cool to see all the new things you guys add to with the recent CompStat presentations, and really helps contextualize a lot of the things going on in the city and formulate plans on how to deal with that. So very instrumental in the mission of the police department, and can't wait to see what else you guys do.
I was going to say, we have a lot of things in the works.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I know there's a lot of stuff coming in the pipe, and I'm excited to see all that. So.
What was one of your favorite things you did in Chicago besides get an award?
Did you see the bean?
Saw the bean, ate some like real deep dish Chicago pizza. That was delicious. And we went up into the Willis Tower.
Yeah.
That was a little freaky,
That's
but it was cool. Yeah.
That's probably the pinnacle of it, because of course they have this one area where you basically walk onto this plastic cube that's clear, right? Have you been up there?
Yeah.
I would not do that.
I had a hard time doing that.
He may or may not have like grabbed my shoulder and a little nervously walked out with me. But
I can't. Yeah.
They have another one. It's not in the Willis Tower, but it's another
Hancock Observatory, right?
Yes,
yeah,
where you can
there was
lean
2
out.
of them. Yeah.
Oh man, that one! Like
I feel like that one would almost be worse.
Yeah, my daughter and I went up there, and her knees buckled when it went forward and stuff. So it was hilarious.
I can't.
I love Chicago.
Yeah.
It was a fun city.
And we caught a game too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
A White Sox or a Cubs game?
Cubs.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Didn't think we could go and not see Wrigley Field. So
Right.
we went.
Yeah.
It's
I
fun.
need to get up to Chicago.
We do. We need to make a trip. There's got to be a PIO conference up there or something.
Maybe.
Yeah. So.
We like to find the good conferences. We went to one last year in Monterey Bay, California.
What?
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
Got to see some things there too. It was cool.
Yep. And we got to present out there. So
Yep.
yeah, all these conferences are
You guys
accepting
are
our
just showing
presentations.
up and showing out. I like that.
Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
That's awesome. Well,
Very cool.
Are you done?
I'm done. Sorry.
We appreciate. We know you're super busy. I know just taking 20 minutes out of your day to come visit us. I'm sure you guys got, backed up on work already. So thank you again. But we're gonna get a refill, and then we'll be right back. We are back from our refill. That was Allison and Jeff. That was awesome, man.
They are so smart.
Bro, I would just have a headache or a migraine. Just
sometimes when we're at the CompStat meetings and Jeff is going over the stats, I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What? But then he explains it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it. I'm like, these are all these numbers. They don't tell me anything. But then they can just look at them and be like, okay, this means this, and that's why this is happening. And that's why.
And then you can go back from like 5 years from what it was like at this time of the month.
Yeah.
3 years, 1 year, whatever.
Well, in the context, too, that they're able to find and put these things into, you can say, we've seen an increase in this, but it's relatively normal. It's within the normal range for the 5-year average and things like that. So it's good that they can, provide the stats without making it seem like, oh my gosh, we have a huge problem. And they say, okay, look at the historical data.
Bro, and then to go to Chicago, a big city where I'm sure there's lots of other crime analysts that are there, and to take second place. I mean, that's just awesome. You know what I mean?
I mean, our unit has been pretty well recognized for a couple years, and they've gotten awards. They're nationally recognized. So we're super proud of what they do, and we're not kidding when we say that they have some cool stuff.
Oh yeah,
coming down the road. So I'm excited to see what all they're going to be doing and helping us improve the services that the department provides.
Yep.
It's exciting stuff.
So all those cool maps and stuff that you guys see when we post them on our social media pages of crime trends in certain areas, especially the ones that we post of guns getting stolen from vehicles.
Yeah.
That's all those guys. That's not something that Trevor and I do, that we just say we need this, and they put it together and they get it back to us rather quickly. So.
And the daily media reports, daily arrest reports, that comes from them.
Yeah.
So they produce all the reports and all the data. They got a lot going on. Speaking of a lot going on in what we just referenced, the guns in cars.
Yes.
Please stop leaving guns unsecured in your vehicles.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep talking about this until we have a day where it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So until that day comes, expect us to be harping on it, because not a good idea. If you like your gun and you want to keep your gun, keep it safe. Keep it secure. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. That's a Lord of the Rings quote.
Is it?
You probably wouldn't know.
You
wouldn't know.
I would not know. So, speaking of other things, we just had the 5K/1 mile walk for
GUM.
Yep, for GUM.
Yeah, I had that on Saturday. There was a big turnout.
Yeah, I saw it. It was amazing.
It's really cool to see that kind of support.
I saw several posts, man, that were just like the response for the city, man, was just awesome. Gerald said it the best was before all this started. We asked the community to call 911 for when they need help, and we respond when we needed help, and the community just showed up and showed out.
Yep.
It's been awesome, man. You still can go to the Honored Versus Foundation's Facebook page if you want to find out ways that you can help the GUM family. Anything is helpful. So.
Yep. We got information on our Facebook page, and make sure you're following our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, if you want to stay up to date on information happening here at the police department. Another thing, if you have questions that you want to ask us, send those to policeweb@wichita.gov, or you can email Chad C. Ditch @wichita.gov, or me, T. Macy, @wichita.gov. We'll answer your questions on the podcast. Also, new thing we're doing a secret word, or a code word, if you will, that we're going to say during the podcast. You can email us a suggestion for a word that you would like to use. And then if you can guess what the word was, maybe we'll give a prize or something. Yeah. I don't know. But we had we could do that. We got a gun safe, so we got to give away.
Yeah.
We had a secret word today. We used it in the podcast. We'll reveal what the word was next week. This is some incentive to get people to watch week after week.
And we're enjoying. We see some comments and stuff too, man. We really enjoy that. We really enjoy when people ask questions. You had brought up our social media and to follow that. I think a lot of we have all social media, right? We have TikTok, YouTube, we have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I saw from the PIO conference is that, and I saw it at another conference that I went to or other training, is other departments have done a tweet along or tweet on the beat. I thought that was kind of catchy. Yeah. Where we go out there with an officer and we just tweet and you can follow along with us all day long.
That would be cool.
I think that'd be cool. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. Let us know.
Let's get some feedback on that.
So, but yeah, man, it's been a fun 2 weeks off. I really missed being on the podcast. I'm really looking forward to being back at work and getting back into it, man. So,
Chad, I'm glad you're back.
Hey, I'm glad to be back, brother. I'm glad.
But we gotta do One Has to Go next week because the one has to come back. It was cool, but there's a reason those things aren't around anymore, Chad.
Well, yeah, that's true. But could you imagine, just bring a Walkman in one day? You know what I mean? Have your cassette. What was your go-to cassette?
So the first cassette I ever got was Queen's Greatest Hits.
Ah,
it was fantastic.
My aunt used to have this. It was Bart Simpson, and he did some rap. Simpson. I can't remember what it was, but it was a rap Bart Simpson did.
Was it the Bartman rap or something?
Maybe, I don't know. I can't tell you this to this
day. I feel like I know.
But every time I was in her car, I had to hear it. So
it's good stuff.
Yep. But yeah, send us your suggestions. Send us your word that you would like us to use in the podcast to any of those emails that we've already told you about several different times. So.
Make sure to follow our social media.
Yes.
We'll be back with another exciting episode of Coffee Break next week.
Peace.